Hello, let's have a quick revision in mathematics, and we are going to deal with a question that came in paper 1 under internal exam last year, and this question is on number 15. So probably we've been given a question under what we call bearings. Remember, there are two common types of bearings. We have what we call nautical bearing and three-figured bearing. Therefore, for us to respond to this question, we are going to say find angle QPR, meaning that if you stand at point Q, you go to point P, you go to point R, we are looking for the size of this particular angle. How are we going to get the size of that particular angle? Remember to say the triangle being given here is known as an isosceles triangle. How can we get the value or the size of angle QPR? We are going to apply what we call the concept of bearings. In this case, what we need to do first is to find the size of this particular angle, because when we get the size of this particular angle, we add with this size of angle 150, we can get the value of this angle, of which when we get the value of this angle, we are going to add, because an isosceles triangle should have two base angles which must be equal. Definitely, when we get the value of angle x here, it will be very simple for me to get the size of angle QPR. So, what is the first thing to do? First and foremost, remember to say if this is point Q, so here is my point Q. If this is point Q, this angle and this angle are known as right angles. Right angles add up to 180. This simply means that for me to get the size of this special angle here, I need to get this 100, then subtract it from 180. I need to say 180 minus 100. Definitely, I'm going to get 80. When I get the size of this particular angle, it will be very simple for me to get the value of x here. How am I going to get the value of x? Remember that the total sum of this whole size of the whole angles here must add up to 360. Definitely, I'm going to say, for me to get the size of this angle x, I need to say x plus 80 plus 150 is equal to 360. The main purpose of me finding the size of angle x here is to help me find angle QPR, which is the question. Now, remember to say this question is carrying 2 marks. Therefore, there are some certain steps that you need to take for you to get the all 2 marks. And these steps are, you need to find the size of this angle. And how can you get the size of this angle? Remember first to consider this 100 and the size of this angle to be right angles, where you can get 180, subtract this 100 to get 8 here. Then add this plus this plus this to get the size of this angle, and this angle will be used now to get size QPR. So definitely we are saying Q plus this is going to give us 230 is equal to 360. Probably the size of angle x will be, I need to say 360 minus 230. So this is just a 0. This is a 3. So the size of angle x will be 130 degrees. So I'll say 130 degrees. So this will be 130. Now, if I know the size of this particular angle, and this is an isosceles triangle, therefore, for me to get the size of QPR will become a simple way. So now, what am I going to do? For me now to conclude with my solvings, I need now to redraw the diagram. I can take it in this way. So I'll say, if this is point Q, then this is my P, this is my R, then I've been given 130 here, which is the size of this angle. Then if this is an isosceles triangle, how am I going to get the size of this particular angle? Remember to say, this angle and this angle must be equal. Therefore, how can I get QPR? So I'll say my QPR My QPR will be, I need to consider adding x plus 130, then equate it to 180, where I'll say 2x is equal to 180 minus 130. Then I'm going to get, I'll get 50 degrees. So now, if I get 50 degrees, therefore, I'll say over A2, this and this will definitely cancel, and the size of x will be 25 degrees. So now, after having the size of, or the value of x, definitely I'll say, therefore, angle QPR, which is carrying 2 marks, is equal to 25 degrees. Very simple. So remember, this is mathematics paper 1 and you are required to solve. So definitely, you can get the angle QPR. In the first place, remember to consider this angle and this angle to be right angles so that you get 80 degrees. After having 80 degrees here, remember to add 80 plus 150 for you to get 130 here, because this angle is important. It is the one we are using here so that we can consider this size to be equal to this size. Therefore, for you to get QPR, you need to use this procedure so that you conclude by saying, therefore, QPR is equal to 25 degrees. Very simple. So now, question B is just asking us to find the bearing of P from R. So, to calculate the bearing of P from R, we need some certain steps that we need to consider. Please enjoy the methods. So remember, the solution for QPR is equal to 25 degrees. Now this is a nautical bearing, so we can give our answer like this. Okay. So let us solve for the bearing of P from R. Remember, this question is also carrying 2 marks. So we need now to consider all our solvings on this diagram. So when we say the bearing of P from R, this simply means that when you go to point R, you need to come up with a new north direction. So I need to indicate my new north direction here. This is point R. Now, this line is going to become line P. So definitely, we move in a clockwise direction where we need to say the bearing of P from R, I need to start at point R then to go to point P. So now, when I move like this, this is the size of the angle that I'm definitely looking for. So now, how am I going to get the whole size of this angle? Remember to say, this is an isosceles triangle and this is 25 degrees and this is 25 degrees. So, what is the meaning for me to get the size of this whole angle? The only part that is remaining is me to consider 150 and the size of this angle to be right angles so that I can get either the value of angle A here. So once I get the size of angle A, I'm going to add this 25 so that I can subtract it from 360. Therefore, I'll find the bearing of P from R. So, what am I saying? So, how am I going to get the size of this angle A? Remember that when I add angle A plus 150, these are right angles. So, I'll say angle A plus 150, I'm going to get 180. Therefore, the size of angle A will be 180 minus 150. Then I'm going to say the value of A is going to be 30 degrees. Definitely, the size of this whole angle here will be 30 degrees because these are right angles. When I add, I'm going to get 180. Definitely. What will be the next step now? The next step now is to add 25 plus 30, which is going to be 55. Therefore, I'll say the bearing of P from R will be, I need to say P from R will be equal to, that will be the size of the angle, so definitely it will be 360 minus 55 degrees. Where is this 55 degrees coming from? I have considered picking 30 degrees here plus this 25 degrees so that I can get the size of this particular angle. That is the bearing of P from R. And when I subtract, the bearing of P from R will be 305 degrees. And this is a three-figured bearing. By doing so, this is how simple mathematics paper 1 can be under bearings. Please stay tuned, follow the page, and enjoy the lesson.